Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Imperial Dane, with another Propagandacast for you, my wonderful viewers. And today we have a match somewhere in Holland, near some sort of industrial river complex. Nice little windmill, and of course what looks like a dike in the background as well. And in the foreground here we see some crashed Opel Blitz. Supplies everywhere in the desperate retreat from the Falaise Gap. So enough reminiscing about the war, let's get to the fight itself. Industrial Riverbed. And in the western upper corner we have Garzia of Kampfgruppe Garzia, there to maintain a rear guard until the rest of the German forces can escape being hunted down by Cheezburglar. Apparently his username is the reason he ended up in the US Army. Apparently offered the choice of either spending time in prison or serving in the army for his fiendish cheese-burgling crimes. Now of the 4th Infantry Division, hunting down the German forces as they are trying to get back to the German lines that are being established in Holland. And let's get to it then. Of course we have the regulars of this map. High yield fuel points in the upper and lower left corner, strategic points securing them, meaning you can disable the fuel point and at least prevent it from being of use to its owner by disabling these points. Very other few fuel points, in fact, besides those. Plenty of munitions point of the medium yield kind though, so that's always something. Otherwise plenty of strategic points and the victory point on the sort of line from top to bottom. And all of this is separated by a river with a very few crossing points, most of those negative cover, meaning that's really a bad idea to be caught out in. And then we finally have the bridge, which is the only real safe sort of cover zone, although it can be blown up. So keep that in mind. And we're of course seeing engineers, foot pioneers moving out from either side, setting up barracks and Wehrmacht quarters. Nothing unusual there. Small searchlights here and there, and a wrecked crane of some sort. And we see a Volksgrenadier team out. All is nice and handy. The leader equipped with the Sturmgewehr set to single shot mode. Would it be single shot fire? I am not entirely sure. But dashing southwards past the pioneers, past the small suburban areas, with a nice little Dutch car of some sort, I suppose. All nice and quaint except for the fact there's a war going on. Going straight for this strategic point. Looks like the riflemen will perhaps be going for this fuel point, using their high capture rate on such points, in fact, while the engineers are going for the southern hook and victory point. All nice and dandy so far. 2nd Rifleman team on the way. And we see a crashed bomber here. Possibly, I don't know, a Lancaster, I suppose. Or some other kind, I'm not entirely sure. Although I did see a Lancaster bomber fly over Denmark today. That was a bit of an experience. Although I wasn't quite aware of what it was until I read about it online. Certainly fun. And we see the Volksgrenadiers engaging some engineers already a bit, it seems. Now moving in force, using the cover to their advantage. Engineers closing in with the submachine guns, but now being caught out in the open by a 2nd team of Volksgrenadiers, although the 1st team is forced to pull a bit back. Not entirely sure what they're doing. Units are less accurate when moving around, and why not stand there and fire it from there, sort of enveloping them? I'm not entirely sure, in fact. Not looking good for the Wehrmacht forces so far, already caught up a bit, but they are quickly changing the situation, forcing the riflemen to retreat. Was a bit of a bold gamble moving out of the cover and towards the Volksgrenadiers, but there we go. Volksgrenadiers have suffered minor losses, but considering the American losses, quite well, in fact. Riflemen pulling back, being pushed back by the pioneers with their submachine guns. Riflemen out in the open now, quite damaged. 1 rifleman more down. 6 riflemen so far. Certainly not a good exchange already. And we see a 3rd Volksgrenadier team. Certainly a lot of Volksgrenadiers already. No Maschinengewehr 42 yet. Creating a large, vast force. Squad size, possibly even platoon size, but now being engaged by further riflemen. Now caught out in the open themselves. Will the riflemen kill some Volksgrenadiers?
Taking one of our points.
And we see a full retreat. I believe 13 Volksgrenadiers or so retreating from only 12 riflemen. Certainly a bit of an exaggeration, but then again they perhaps felt being caught out in the open was not so good for their health. And a fourth Volksgrenadier team, he's certainly going heavy for it. 2 Volksgrenadier squads in all, with consisting of all 4 teams. That's certainly a lot. Not often you see that, and of course it has, I suppose, some strength, but also certain weaknesses, like the fact that it's going to be a bit expensive to maintain. Of course, we'll have certain difficulties dealing with moving on the attack and such, and of course can be stopped by any heavy machine guns to a certain degree, but it's certainly interesting. Very rare I've seen, and I certainly don't use it myself, but I suppose it fits in with the Holland theme, where a large part of the German forces were low quality troops like the Volksgrenadiers, who were suddenly thrust into the action in an attempt to keep the Allies at bay. So interesting enough. Veterans 1 up already, not using the buildings either side though, a bit curious. Volksgrenadiers getting behind the low stone fence, lining up for some sort of assault, and this is of course where Volksgrenadiers aren't so well, which is of course the attack. Engineers laying down mines in the north, good. We see a firefight breaking out as the riflemen are moving in. Perhaps some will use the buildings. No, they are cut down in the vast Volksgrenadier fire. One team though taking up in the building, and the Volksgrenadiers are once more retreating, having suffered quite a bit, but I do believe they managed to take out a fair number of riflemen as well in the attack. Not entirely sure how to react to this. It's certainly a bit unusual. I mean, again, Volksgrenadiers aren't exactly the elite or even regular troops. They are not bad, but they really shouldn't be doing anything without some sort of support. In particular, not against riflemen with BARs. And they'll certainly later on in the fight be a bit lacking, since they only can get MP40s, which are close quarters weapons, and Panzerfausts, which aren't really cost effective in the long run. And we see pioneers with flamethrowers, mines being laid down here, quite cleverly done. And of course riflemen with BARs hiding behind this lump of barrels of different kinds. Mine being set off. BAR riflemen charging in. One Volksgrenadier team being forced back. And the Volksgrenadiers are charging right into the BAR riflemen. That's certainly a bad idea. You generally don't want riflemen charging into troops equipped with automatic weapons. Particularly not Volksgrenadiers. They're not really made for it at all. So perhaps trying to play a bit too much as the Americans, who knows? And perhaps might want to consider trying from some other approach, since he's really lacking in territory, as the Americans currently will have pretty much most of the map for themselves. Setting up a triage center though, not trying to push the advantage towards some sort of vehicle or armor. Volksgrenadiers charging forwards again, getting an MG42 this time around.
Enemy unit.
Much better, but one pioneer team is lost to the BAR fire. And another mine, apparently not getting a minesweeper. Not a good move. Being a bit suppressed. MG42 slowly edging its way forwards, ready to support the Volksgrenadier assault. Riflemen taking a few losses. And the Volksgrenadiers finally look like to have made a bit of progress in the south, having forced most of the riflemen back. Now they actually begin to need to counterattack in the way, forcing the riflemen back, and the MG42 was not set up, so this is quickly turning bad for the German forces. Disarray and chaos. A few riflemen going down though, and Volksgrenadiers quickly trying to move up and protect the MG42 team, but it is forced to retreat. Absolutely no pioneers, in fact, at the moment. Not good at all. And let's have a look at Mr. Garzia, Hauptmann Garzia of Kampfgruppe Garzia.
Yes, sir.
Probably spending a lot of resources on reinforcing his Volksgrenadiers. No pioneers, not entirely sure of his veterancy or status of technology, which tier he has reached, which phase of warfare. Riflemen weaving back and forth, still maintaining a light position here, but thanks to the mines they won't be needed in such great numbers, while the rest are reinforcing and healing. And we see a motor pool going up as well. And another mine is hit. Very good mine usage, very aggressive mine usage, in fact. Certainly something for newer players to note and try to integrate into their tactics. Of course, you should avoid trying to place mines right in front of the enemy. You don't want him to see them, you placing them. Riflemen being surrounded by Volksgrenadiers might lose a team there, and yes, Volksgrenadiers do manage. One American team dead. And what is this? A 5th Volksgrenadier team. This is absolute madness. No pioneers, only Volksgrenadiers, and well, nothing else. An MG42, but if, say, Mr. Cheezburglar had gone for a Sherman instead, his Panzerfaust would be able to do nothing at all. So certainly interesting. Volksgrenadiers finding themselves engaged. The Kampfgruppe elements forced on to its rear foot once more as a large force of riflemen is surging in from all sides. Well done. Flamethrower engineers as well. Good usage, not just attacking from one point but from numerous points, thus forcing the defenders to spread out a bit, and of course keeping up a bit confused since he will have to manage numerous points. Although the engineer assault is not going well and the rifleman assault is forced back as well, he did cause a bit of losses and certainly managed to disrupt the advances of the Volksgrenadier forces. 5 teams, 25 men. I do believe that would constitute a platoon, I suspect, or not. Not entirely sure, but it's certainly a lot of Volksgrenadiers. All veterancy 1. And now getting veterancy 2. Unbelievable. Not entirely sure what he's up to, and it's certainly going to end up very badly for him, as there's something out of that motor pool very soon. The venerable M8 Greyhound armored car, stable of the American mechanized forces for sure. And we see the armored skirts and of course the 50 caliber mount being upgraded for it. So that's certainly going to be doing a lot of nasty things to those Volksgrenadiers. And he doesn't really have anything to counter it as such. Panzerfaust, yes, but it's still going to take several to actually have them be greatly useful, and it will cost him a lot of munitions on it, in fact. But there we go, charging across the small crossing there. M8 firing away, not countering much resistance, although getting much too close to those Volksgrenadiers. And looks like the first prong of the American assault is getting suppressed, but now it has turned into a full round. The M8 pressing, causing the MG42 team and all of its attendant Volksgrenadiers to get out of there. And we see the other Volksgrenadiers milling about, also pulling back